Well, I'm continually, whenever we evaluate someone and you go through like the typical history and the typical questions that we're trained to ask of what was the mode of injury, how long ago, what phase are we in, where does it hurt, and you do your tests, we can get very mechanical. And I realize that it's with that passionate engagement of truly caring for someone that they give you a little pearl about their life that all of a sudden changes. Like, oh, I didn't know you had that accident when you were 16. Tell me more about that. Well, see, that happened. Then I started wearing these shoes, or I started changing how I move. And then you get to appreciate how the person came to be in front of you. Because when we're seeing a 40-year-old, we got to remember that they have 40 years of miles on their body. It's not just a simple mechanical problem. Maybe they were a baseball player in college, or maybe they played an extra softball league and they twisted their knee, and they're going to forget about that when they come to you with back pain when they're 45. They're not going to tie those together, but our job is to integrate that information, and you only get it by caring. Yeah. You kind of have to say, so what do you do? What do you like doing? Yeah. And it's with that deeper connection that you get those pearls that help give you clarity on what their body's been through, which is absolutely essential when we start influencing people with exercise.
Yeah. And active listening too, right? The only way you're going to get that information out of someone is showing the mannerisms that you genuinely care. You're really interested in their life, really interested in things that they've done, and giving them as much time as they need to tell their story. And then I think there's multiple points of being able to show someone the soft skills, so to speak, and it's one on the eval where they first meet you as an individual and you're showing that you care about their process and that you can provide all of your energy or all of your knowledge to try to help them get where they need to go. And then every subsequent time they come in, it's again on the check-in as soon as they walk in the door, where are you at, how you been, what type of progress have you made, what type of regressions have you felt. Then you get them on the table and you start talking about their family, start talking about the things they like to do, and then you start coaching exercise. And even though it's a very mechanical approach and teaching them technique and whatnot, you can interject your same soft skills in talking more about their life, talking more about their interests, diving into them as a person and understanding them, so that then you know how to motivate them, you know how to connect with them, and then you can really watch for certain things that are maybe nonverbal signs that you can connect with them a little bit deeper.
Yeah, exactly. And relating it back to the ultimate piece here, which is what do they want to do, or what do they really truly care about? So then, to your point, when you're on the floor with an exercise, somebody wants to play golf, they may not realize that there's a hip hinge portion of golfing, right? So when you're teaching them the stick hinge for whatever reason this is, you can take every bit or everything that you're doing and relate it back to their why, or the piece that makes them tick.
Such a missing I don't know. I mean, I help. We all help the therapists around us and coach them up on a variety of different parts of their development. But I feel like sometimes I used to talk way too much in a given session, and I've dialed it back to be just more precise, but I still talk a lot. And I think it's mostly that, on relating every single thing you're doing back to their primary goal, or back to that moment in time that's going to get them to the next step, that's then to the next step to their goal. They need clarification of what the heck am I putting energy toward right now, and why is it important that I do it at home?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the data on home exercise program following in our field is terrible, right? Okay. I mean, maybe less than 20% will actually do the exercises you prescribe, but that's because if it's just issued on a piece of paper and say, hey, do these 3 or 4 things, there's no purpose. There's no reason. So the engagement part, to what Russ is talking about understanding the person's life, where they're coming from, what is it that they want to do? And it's not, I want to walk again. Yeah, but why? Why do you want to walk again? Do you want to walk again because you like to walk with your friends and your friends are walking, and now when they call you, you're saying, no, I can't go because my knee hurts. I have this knee, I can't walk with you, so I don't want to hold the group up. So they want to get their knee to be pain-free so they can walk, but the real reason is so they can get back and join their society and their environment. And we see this at all ages across the spectrum, and it's so critical, I think, to pay attention to this as a clinician. Is the people's social interests and their social life outside is really what's going to drive their want to function better. Maybe it's to play a sport and be on a team and be respected in that way, or be able to compete. Maybe it's to be able to stay healthy and be able to stay fit and those things. Maybe that's more important to them for personal reasons or for social reasons. Or it could be that, just hanging out with their family. You see it. It's just, you see it with age, typically with folks, where it's it sounds terrible, but you start off being you're not able to walk as much, and then you give them an assisted device and you give them a walker, and then they're frankly they're embarrassed to want to use it, so that they don't want to go out anymore. Now they just don't want to be seen with it, So then they end up staying home, and in the process of staying home, they're getting weaker. So now it's harder to get up and get off the couch and to walk more, and now they're needing even the walker's hard for them, and you see this just diminishing function. Very, very socially driven though, versus if we could get them out moving healthily and actively or in the right circle, that probably could be the motivating factor.
Yeah.
Like that's the opposite effect we see when people go to, these care facilities, these senior living facilities where they join up with other like people, and man, they take off with their life again because like, oh cool, I can go, go for a walk with my friend, and I can go play cards on Wednesday or whatever it is, and gets them back out and gets them moving. It's purpose.
And the way we get to all of that stuff, we'll go back to a point that Aaron said, was he said he realizes that he talks less now. That's really the key. What I find is in a session, if I find I'm talking about myself, or if I'm doing most of the talking, then something's not quite right. Right? It's all about like asking leading questions, kind of not creepily, but like prying into their life and like getting like extracting as much information as you can that you can then kind of use to help create their narrative and their story to help them get better.
I think a big one that younger therapists face is that there's maybe they see an older individual or middle-aged individual that has kids, and obviously they don't share the same life experience at that moment, so it's hard to relate to your clients, and I think that's a huge hurdle they face right out of the gate. And I think you can really mitigate that by speaking to the client on what is it ultimately that you want to do. Give me more of your life background, and like let me learn a little bit more about you, because I'm not going to be in a place to tell someone 40 years than I am how their body should feel. At the end of the day, they're going to be completely out of my league as far as life experience, and I'm going to take that wisdom and learn from it, but you have to allow them to kind of like tell their story and dive deep into things that they want and they care about, and that's how you start to relate to someone. And then they maybe have a like interest, and you kind of dive into that aspect of it. But I mean, that's a huge hurdle I see with younger therapists, is that you kind of like, I had nothing in common with this person. I'm like, you kind of probably do. You just got to start asking a little bit more genuine questions about themselves.
And you let them dictate it, right? You let them kind of dictate where things go, and then you just kind of figure out how to fall in. And then that brings up another point of back to the communication skills, is you've got to communicate with everybody differently, right? So like the lacrosse kid is different than the basketball kid, is different than the 60-year-old. And if we kind of shift this to sports a little bit, I remember one of the big things for me in the beginning was if somebody, I played baseball, so if somebody that played baseball walked in, I could have a really good conversation with them about their sport, really good conversation, and instantly get buy-in because I understand like all the nuances of their sport and how that works. But a lacrosse kid walks in the door, and I'm like, well, you got a stick, and I don't really know what else happens. I know you get hit with it sometimes, and so
it's a mixture of sports,
right? So you have to you kind of have to then, when that person walks through the door, you've got to then go educate yourself, which is back to the passion piece, and then figure out how to communicate with them to speak their language or speak their sport language. That's huge for getting buy-in.
It doesn't take much either. Like I had the same exact problem. I was like, how do I connect with someone that's a swimmer? Like, I mean, I go to the pool and just like play around and splash around in the deep end
with
sometimes.
Your floaties.
But if my floaties, totally, secret's out, can't swim. But they come in and they talk about their upcoming meet, or they talk about their training and all the different stroke variations. And I mean, I'm not going to sit there and try to pretend that I know something about it, but I'm going to allow them to take the front seat and like, tell me a little bit about this, and then start to remember some of these things, so that the next person that comes in, say swimming for this example, like you can actually start saying some things. It's not just saying buzzwords just to connect with them. It's like you start to learn from your clients as much as they're learning from you.
Yes. Yeah, I have a guy right now, and he's one of the best pistol shooters in the nation. He continually ranks up very high, and I haven't shot a gun to save my life. I'm actually blind, so I shouldn't be shooting a gun. But nonetheless, he's telling me how fast he needs to be able to pull it, and he goes through a 30-second obstacle course, and he's teaching me, and I'm correlating his radiculopathy with his repeated bouts of shooting, and we're getting somewhere. And he enjoys this process because he realizes that in my investigative physical therapist mind, he's thinking, if I can just teach you what I do in this course, you're going to figure it out. And I'm like, teach me, give me the tools, and we're going to put this together, because I know your body better than you do, but you know your sport better than I do, and together we do it. And that is this journey, and that's why I think one of the big parts of this is both the act of listening and not being afraid to kind of like say, teach me, tell me, show me. And when we get there, we start really kind of attacking what is important to them, and we make gains on it. True.